Most investors stop at covered calls and they don't even realize that they're missing out on some additional gains by taking advantage of the other side of the market. It's called the covered strangle, and in today's video, I'm going to tell you all about it. What's going on, premium chasers? I hope you are having a God-blessed day today. Every single person that comments down below is going to get 25 of my all-time favorite covered strangle stocks. So if you want that full list, just drop a comment down below on today's video. Also, guys, there will be a link down below. If you are not signed up for a brokerage or you are looking to explore a new brokerage that I personally absolutely love, Moomoo has a very, very, very special offer to all of us premium chasers. Number one, you're getting up to $1,000 in NVIDIA shares, $100 in cash rewards with a qualifying deposit, plus you're receiving 8.1% APY cash sweep for your first 3 months. You know how important that is to me. Click that first link in the description of today's video and sign up for Moomoo. But guys, today we're talking about covered strangles, okay? This is one of my favorite options trading strategies, especially on a weekly basis. If you tune here into this channel a lot, you guys know I like to do monthlies, but guess what? I also like to do weeklies as well when I want to scratch that itch a little bit. And when I'm doing weeklies, I often like to play both sides of the market. So let's talk about it. So first things first, we need a stock. One of my favorite stocks to run the covered strangle strategy on is SoFi. So we already know what a covered call is. If you don't, essentially what a covered call is let's say that you own 100 shares of SoFi, right, at $28 around the current market value at the time of me recording this. And let's say you wanted to go out there and sell your 100 shares. Well, gladly, sir, you can go sell your shares for the current market value. Or you could say, you know what, next week, next Friday, if SoFi is trading at $29 at close, then I'll sell it, right? If it's trading at $29, and you would collect an upfront premium from an option buyer. So let me quickly show you what that looks like here on Moomoo. Okay, so right here, we're on our options chain, right? And then all I like to do is simply go to the calls, right? So I'm going to click the calls right here. And again, the prerequisite for the strategy is you need 100 shares of a stock at least, okay? Now, I'm going to go out to the 6-day expiration here. So I'm going to go out to this November 14th expiration. Now from here, this is where I get to select and essentially name my price on where I'd be willing to sell my 100 shares of SoFi. So for example, if it was 29, right? If I actually was fine selling my shares at 29, I can click this, create a sell order. Now when I do this, you could see here my expiration is the 14th, right? Which is 6 days away. My strike price is 29. That's what I'm willing to potentially sell my shares for, right? I'm on the side of the sell, right? And I would be collecting $71.50 of credit. That is cash. That is premium. It's coming from the options buyers. Hit the juice button. You guys already know, right? That is given to you up front. That is premium that you take essentially for really taking this risk. Now, with that said, what are the risks of the covered call, and especially with the covered strangle that we're going to layer on? Well, with the covered call, you miss out on any further upside, okay? Very important to understand that. Right. And this is the big reason a lot of people are against doing covered calls. In my opinion, I think it's crazy. Right. But with that said, the biggest risk of the covered call is, let's say next Friday, SoFi's trading at 30, 31, 32. Well, guess what? You're selling your shares for $29. You're not getting your 100 shares back. Your 100 shares are going and being sold, okay? They will be sold, and you lock in real gains. For me, I treat option selling like a business. Profit's profit. If I miss out on a little upside, all well and good. This is the stock market, baby, and there is always opportunity there for us option sellers. That's my belief, okay? Now, if it's trading below 29, right, we don't sell our shares because it's not trading at 29, guys. Not hard to get, you know, right? And so our shares are released back to us, right? And then we can run the play again for the following week. And that's all well and good. We collected $71.50. We're essentially renting out our shares. I always like to say that. I tell my friends and family when I try to explain a covered call, I say it's kind of like renting out your shares, right, in a way. And eventually, right, you maybe sell them, right? But with that said, the covered strangle adds one additional layer to this strategy. And what that is we actually sell a cash secured put for the same expiration date, okay? Let me kind of walk you through it. So we're saying next Friday that we're willing to sell our shares for 29. Well, actually, let me show you guys an actual example of how I do this. Well, the first thing we want to do is select our covered call price. Now, for me, I'm not going to sell them for 29. I think that's a little bit too aggressive. When I'm doing a covered strangle, I'm staying in the mid 20s really on the delta. So this 0.26, roughly a 26% chance that I'll end up having to sell my shares. And for me, that's usually my sweet spot when I'm doing the covered strangle, right? Because here what I'm creating is kind of just this gap that I'm just trying to get right through the middle and just sneak away with my premium, right? That's kind of what I'm creating. It's going to make sense here in a moment. So you can see here, I would collect $38.50 of premium on the covered call. Now what we want to do is sell a cash secured put as well, okay? Now a cash secured put, if we go to our put section right here, a cash secured put is basically us saying we're willing to buy 100 shares of a stock on a certain at a certain price on a certain date. Now, why does this work? Well, typically with a covered call, it's bullish, right? We're bullish that stock will hit a certain price and we'll end up selling our shares. We think the stock is gonna go up and we can lock in those gains, right? Or it depends on how you want to really look at it, but that's how I personally like to look at it, right? Now, with that said, right, with the cash secured put, it's kind of like you're just sneaking in some extra juice, right? Like you're just kind of sneaking in some extra premium on a play you're taking anyway, right? So with a SoFi, it works really well, right? Because SoFi obviously had a nice little pullback recently, but this strategy, in my opinion, works well with these volatile stocks, and especially ones that are just have a ton of upward trajectory. At least for me, I'm very bullish on long term on SoFi. I love this company. It's one of my companies I do have in my buy and hold. So I'm going to go over here onto the option chain. Now I'm looking for a cash secured put. Same exact thing. Now, for me, again, I'm looking for mid 20s or getting closer to the 30s, okay? Or not in the 30s, but close to the 30s. So in this case, you could see my delta for the 26.5s is a 0.24 delta. So 24% chance of assignment. For the 0.30, I have about a 30% chance of assignment. Now, I'm bullish on this thing either way. So you have to make your own financial decisions when it comes down to it. But in this specific case, in this specific trade, if I was going to take it, I would personally take the 27s, right? I would take the 27s because, right, I don't believe that SoFi is going to drop to that price. And if it does, all well and good. Let me show you guys what it looks like, right? So now you can see on our order sheet here, I have two expiration dates. I have a 30 covered call saying I'm willing to sell my 100 shares for 30. And then I have my $27 cash secured put. Let's quickly talk about the risks of a cash secured put, just so you're aware of them, okay? So with the cash secured put, I'm saying I'm willing to buy at 27. So let's say the 14th rolls around at close and SoFi is trading, but let's say it's trading at 28, an ideal situation for us in this kind of covered strangle play, right? If it's trading at 28, we're not going to get assigned, right? Because it's not trading at 27, so we're not buying it for 27. It's trading at 28. Okay, cool. Our money, our $2,700 that's locked up to buy 100 shares at 27 is released back to us to then run the play the following week. All well and good. The second thing that can happen, and this is the big risk of the cash secured put that you need to be made aware of, is let's say that SoFi is trading below $27 on the 14th at close. Well, if that happens, good sir, what will happen is you will have to buy your shares at 27, and now you have to buy them. Now, let's say it's trading at 10 in a week. Well, guess what? You're buying it at 27. That's the risk, okay, of the covered calls and the cash secured puts. So why are we doing a play like this? Well, the big reason is kind of, like I said, you're sneaking in some extra premium on your position, okay? Now, you're also creating a situation that you're able to dollar cost average into a stock you like. So there's not a lot of stocks that I like to do this strategy on. I'm going to be honest with you guys. There's very few stocks that I enjoy doing the covered strangle strategy on. But when they're very high conviction, I do them. Why? Because I'm collecting some extra premium along the way, right? For example, in this situation, I actually want to own SoFi at 27. So I'm setting myself up for success in 2 times, okay? Number one, I could now potentially lock in my gains selling it for 30 if it has a nice run up this week, right? And then also I can DCA in at 27 if it has a nice little pullback in the next week. And if I'm right in the middle, then they both expire worthless and I walk away with the juice on both ends. To me, it's a win-win-win, like a triple win scenario. But again, it comes down to the stock, right? Because you have to assume when you sell that covered call, assume you sold. Assume you sold, fam. That's the best way to do it and not have your heart breaking when you're selling your shares. Otherwise, don't do the covered call, right? Same thing with cash secured puts. If you don't want to actually own the stock at 27, please don't sell the cash secured put. Assume assignment. One thing that really has been a good mindset shift for me with selling options is that whenever I do a play, I just assume that it happened already. Right? And I have a plan forward. So in this specific situation, I got all my bases covered. I got it, I'm selling it at a strike price that I'd actually be happy to do, right? I'd happy to sell it for. I'm also getting in potentially on it at a price that I want. And if neither of those things happen and let's say it's trading at 28, 29, okay, I still won because I collected a good amount of premium. This is the covered strangle, and I absolutely love this strategy. Make sure to check it out, guys, and make sure to check out Moomoo. Tons of free bonuses for you. Up to $1,000 in NVIDIA shares, $100 cash rewards with a qualifying deposit, plus you're receiving up to an 8.1% API cash sweep for your first 3 months. Go check them out, guys. I absolutely have been loving Moomoo, especially since all the free tools and stuff that they give you along with this. I use this every single morning in my pre-market calls for my entire private community, and we all love it so much. So make sure you guys go check it out. Click that first link in the description of today's video, guys. Remember, sell options, collect premiums, repeat. I'll see y'all tomorrow.